that understanding and that knowing of who you are and who your family is, that makes that connection so much stronger and easier. That makes your magic stronger.
Understood. Okay. So you said you love Isis, like you really like her energy and the communication that you've had. What was that like though? I'm sorry, I feel like I'm going into interview mode. What was that like?
Like I'm here. I'm chilling.
Greetings, everybody.
ISIS.
We're conversing. We're already in the middle of it, so I just
When
wanted to
I
start
work
and
with
share
the
it.
different entities, I find that it's very easy to. It's easier to tap into them when you uh, kind of see them as archetypes. Like they can be parts of yourself that has a specific function, but they are also entities without, they're their own people. But Isis herself represents wisdom, and that is the thing that I always wanted from my journey. There's a lot of people that go into it for power, for the sake of power. And no, like you have to understand how to use that knowledge and use that power in order to benefit yourself as well as those that you're seeking to help.
Okay. Heard you on that. Yeah.
And that's why, like Isis, like I'm very fond of Isis. I'm fond of that wisdom. I'm fond of that experienced way of looking at things, and how it always forces you to expand your mind by thinking.
I agree. I appreciate that. So, well, I guess now I do have some questions as we're going along because it's so it's so interesting to me. So, when was the first time that you decided to like contact? And Z corrected me the other day because he said there's a difference between a daemon and a demon.
Right.
Okay.
As I explained earlier, the demon is the negative context that was brought about through mistranslation.
Yes.
Daemon is the earlier word that meant superpower and inspiration, and protector.
Okay.
And they say that daemon is originally Greek, although the Greeks got a lot from the Egyptians, so that's arguable.
Yeah. I believe that a lot of our power and our source and our intra beings have been taken and put a negative connotation on it, which is why I feel like they've taken the word demon and they have now used it inside of their negative energy and like pushed it out towards us and said, hey, this is what anything outside of us is demonic. You know what I mean? But not understanding that the energy that they're giving you is the lower frequency of, lower energy, that demonic energy, because that's what they have labeled it as. I don't believe that. I just believe that, listen, if something needs to be taken care of and you need to call on a different being, sometimes you need to call on a different being. You need to call on another side of yourself. You have polarity, duality. And so I'm not just a light being. I carry darkness with me as well. It has to be a balance.
Right.
And so because sometimes I'm a lot of times activated in the lighter. What? Yeah, absolutely. Gratitude. Sorry, I'm speaking to the people over here. I got Yehuda on the main line.
Hello, people.
Yes, we have a few people on my end as well. But Yehuda said to me as I was saying that they want us to think that the dark energy is the negative energy. The positive is actually the dark. And the lighter could be seen as what may not be always as nice. And it's a duality, and he just asked me to spin that around, so I will. But for you, now my question was, I'm sorry, I'm rambling. When was the first time you decided to connect with the daemon? And was it by accident or did you mean to?
Uh, figuring out you want to connect with a daemon um, is a gradual process. There was no one day or moment when I was like, you know what, I'm just going to conjure up like a good wedding spirit or something like that. It was just kind of becoming disillusioned through religion. And then when you figure out like a lot of it is one-sided, then you have the curiosity. When it doesn't necessarily work for you, you have the curiosity of what the other side is like. And so, you know how they say there's one side, there's another person's side, and then there's the truth, and it's
Mm-hmm.
a little mixture of both.
Mm-hmm.
Um, that's what got me thinking, like, okay, well, what if I just go ahead and contact these supposed demons and talk to them and just see what their side is about? Not necessarily like trying to worship them or trying to get anything out of them like genies, but just saying, hey, look, um, I'm curious about who you are. And if you're willing to sit and speak with me and spend time with me, like I'm willing to hear you out from a neutral standpoint.
Mm-hmm.
But that outlook gradually came because, you know, before when I decided to conjure up a demon, um, I was looking through Solomonic magic, and the thing is that Solomonic magic seeks to bind these spirits, and that's not fair treatment of them. And so the newbie mistake I made was initially trying to use that method, but then I came to the
Mm.
point where I'm like, you know what? Like, I wouldn't want to be bound and then asked a whole bunch of questions. Like, it's easier to get things out of somebody who is your friend than someone who is your enemy.
Got it. I love that. I love that. Gratitude. Um, I'm gonna share experience with you, Mr. Heck at those, Mr. Zero. I would like to show share an experience, and
Go
I
for
would
it.
like to get your view on it.
Let me get to know you.
Have you ever heard of the entity called Azazel?
Absolutely. Lilith recommended Azazel to me.
I work with Azazel a lot. Many people do not know that, and I work with him because he attempted to choke my sister out in front of me one
that's
day.
that's not funny, but I can empathize with that.
I had
Not with
never.
Azazel, but I've had that happen.
Okay, so it was just myself, my ex protege, and my sister in my house, and my sister fell back on the couch and couldn't breathe. Something was choking her, and when I tapped in, I saw a huge entity, like a very shiny green, almost like wearing a suit, green and I want to say brownish in color. And when I asked the entity his name, he told me his name was Azazel. And I asked him why was, what was happening. And I told him he had to release my sister. And in that moment, it was like he was standing directly in front of her, just looking, staring at her. And I told him he had to release her, and he did that. I could not understand why that happened, what was the point, but I sometimes will use Azazel if I'm creating protection for someone.
Mm-hmm.
Or as of recently, I asked him to go sit on someone's chest that thought they wanted to do me harm. So, what is your thought on that?
Azazel is awesome. I feel like there are things that he does to test us, to make us have more backbone. Also, there are things that he does in order to help us to spiritually evolve. There was one time I was doing something in the ether, like when you astral travel and stuff, you have your higher self.
Mm-hmm.
and your higher self tends to do things that you wouldn't expect your regular self to do, but you know it's coming from you. And so my higher self did something that was bothering me, because humans have a morality code that is not in sync with angels or the demonic. So that's one thing that you have to get over. And Azazel, when I went to Azazel and told him about it and how I felt, Azazel was like, don't question your moves, whether they're dark or light. Like, don't worry about it. You know, Azazel has always been a representative of balance for me.
Okay.
Both dark and light.
Okay.
And to hear you working with Azazel, like, I mean, congratulations. That you know.
I've used that energy. This would be the second time. But I agree with you that he's a tester. I don't know if he, she, I would say they, as an entity itself, is a tester, because the other night when I did some energy work, some ritual work, some spell work over here, and I asked him to go sit on someone's chest. Every time I came out my room, I would hear Azazel's here, as if they were trying to see if I was fearful. And I said, I don't give a shit. I don't give a shit, you know? And so I realized, I said, oh, I'm being tested to see, you want to work with this energy, but are you afraid of it? And I said, no, I don't give a shit. So I agree that I was being tested.
I think they also test how you will use the power. You know, Azazel one time told me, he came in and his greeting was, isn't it the most wonderful thing when somebody you really hate is destroyed? And I'm like, that doesn't fly in our society. Like, if you kill somebody that you hate, like, you'll get locked up. And it's funny because in that moment, you could see him kind of process my answer and then go into whatever he wanted to teach me. And that was just like, okay, like, you unlocked this information. And, you know, like, when you study the people who studied a lot of the divine practices, like, say I was listening to something about Abramelin, whether or not these angels are fallen or these demonic, they're still divine. In Egyptian practice, you had to be righteous. In the Abramelin path that worked with angels, you had to be righteous. But these angels were sent to test you. If you wanted to be a fucknut with the power, they'll let you do that. But that power is going to swallow you up.
Yeah. I agree.
And that's what Azazel is like. Azazel is the one that puts you on that balance, and sees whether you're, you know, level-headed or not.
Yes. I have used him for protection. You know, just to keep someone safe. But the reason I asked them to go sit on someone's chest is because I understood that this person is gunning for my life.
Right.
And so I didn't ask them to harm anyone. I had already, you know, I conjured and spoke to Marie Laveau, and she worked me through I put somebody in the spleen the other night. And I used the blood to do so, you know, and I just really want them to swallow themselves. And I asked them to go sit on his chest, so he shall not be moved in such a way that until it's time for whatever destruction he causes upon himself to happen. Because you seek for my life, so it's justified. in what I'm asking. So I don't teach people to harm people. I teach people balance.
Right.
So do you believe that we should be making ourselves knowledgeable of what is considered the daemons?
I think we should make ourselves knowledgeable about everything.
Everything. Absolutely.
I'm that guy that promotes that the thing, fuck around and find out.
That part.
Um,
Yeah.
yeah. So yes, I believe that they have a lot to offer. One has to be understanding. One has to be genuine in that search. The daemons, they're not genies. They are people. They have feelings, and
I
you
agree.
have to establish a relationship, just like establishing a friendship or a close, intimate relationship with another human being. When you understand, and this is another thing that the Egyptian gods told me. When you understand the soul of a spirit, then you understand how they move, and when you understand how they move, then you can sync up with that movement to benefit with working with that spirit.
Yes. I think it's a misconception from humans in our human mind that these deities, entities, intra beings are always positive, always light, can't have an opinion or thought. But I will tell you, I agree with you because I know firsthand, even with me working with Papa Candelo, Papa has his own thoughts sometimes, and he has talked to them and he has done it on camera. He's like, "You're not my boss." You know what I mean? Like, I can do what I want to do, and I hear them sometimes in communication where they're not always in agreement. You
Right.
know,
That's true. Yeah.
um, sometimes Yehuda will come through and will say, yeah, go ahead, do what you need to do, and I will hear somebody else say, well, I just don't think she's going to grow if she continues on in this way. Like, like people don't understand the communication that happens because they think it's false.
Hmm.
I agree that we should get to know all things.
Well, see, the way I understand it, because like currently I study Gnosticism because that's what Lilith told me to study, honestly. Um, and, I found ways to connect with a representative of, like, let's say, like the oneness of God, so to speak, or the all. And it's a mixture of the divine feminine and the masculine feminine. And there will be times when they both agree. There will be times when, if the masculine is speaking up, then the divine feminine is trying to keep her mouth shut.
Mm-hmm.
But then there are times when uh, one will say something, the other one will be like, no, I don't want to agree with that. They'll argue with each other. Then they'll come to the realization that there's no point because one sees it one way and the other sees it different. Then there's like a little bit of silence, and then they're back to agreeing again, and it's hilarious.
It is. It's very funny. And I've experienced exactly what you're talking about. Even when it comes to what I understand as the oneness and the grandmother, Dina and Yehuda,
Mm-hmm.
they not always, will agree, but I will hear him say, well, let me, she's going to be okay, Adina. Do you know what I mean? Like, she's going to be okay. And it's like, when he was not pleased about me not doing the work I needed to be doing the other day, she stepped forward and told me, like, hey, this is not playtime. There's some work that needs to be done. We need messages to be received. So I had to get that understanding. Like, I do believe we have free will. I could have said, absolutely not today. You know what I mean? But I give my life to this work, and I'm
Mm-hmm.
okay with that. You know what I'm saying? And I absolutely love it. So when she say, hey, it's not playtime, it's game time, I said, oh shit, let me go ahead and do what I need to do, you know, so we can
Right.
get this message out. And lo and behold, the next day the submarine came found.
Yeah, they stay keeping distractions in the media and social media and stuff like that. I was gonna ask Xero, could you let everybody know what it's like working with Lilith? Everybody that's in the chat right now, because I'm getting it on this side.
Lilith is like a lot of people don't understand Lilith. They just attribute her with sex or femininity. But Lilith is the expression of the divine feminine. And most times she's seen as dark and chaotic. But like I said before, when you deal with certain spirits, you have to get to know them. Mm-hmm. There are different aspects to them. Initially, is she easy to deal with? No. And I don't know how she deals with women, but I know how she deals with men. And if you are a practitioner and you're male and you want to deal with Lilith, there's going to be some difficulty. I argued with her a lot. Like, we've had knock down, drag out, like cursing matches and stuff like that. But in the end, she is there to help you evolve spiritually. It's not always going to be easy, and she may have to drag you to certain places.
Agreed.
But everything that she said to me that was important and pertained to my spiritual growth, like, I checked it out and it was true. And even though, like, there were some times when, like, we had fights, there were some times when I was wrong. And so I had to be like, you know what? Like, what you said was right. And, like, you got to put your hands up. So, yeah, her biggest thing was just be yourself. Be truthful to yourself and be truthful with what you want. And, like, when you argued with her, one thing that spoke to me a lot was, like, she was very willing to forgive. Like, she was just like, ask for forgiveness. And I was like, you know what? I'm sorry for what I did, because I felt like I was actually wrong. She was just like, you're forgiven, like that. That's it.
That's deep. That reminds me of the episode on Black Mirror, the who is it? Demon 79, where they have the black man plays the demon. He comes into the human form, but he wears all white to show that he has, quote unquote, some good. But when you watch it, it's almost like this is not something we should be afraid of, because he actually gave her genuine love. He never lied to her. He always told her the truth. But that's everything opposite in what they have instilled into the masses of what a demon is.
Right.
Right. We have to pay attention to the small things like that.
Yeah, and that's what I was saying when I was talking about how, like, all these people who speak out against demons, like, you've never spoken to one. How do you know that they're evil? How do you know that they hate humanity? Like, if they hated humanity, like, we would have been gone a long time ago. We would have been snuffed out. Because these beings, they know how to manipulate. Like, they have their negative and positive applications. And if they didn't care, like, they have ways of changing things within us, and changing things, the way that we see the earth, whether or not we want to. For the most part, though, it's seen as taboo to go against somebody's free will. But that doesn't necessarily mean that they always follow the rules.
Yeah,
Um,
no, yeah, for real.
but the thing is that there has to be some goodness in them if they have the power to manipulate us so much and just do away with us. Because there's a lot of angels as well as demons that perceive humanity as something lower.
But is that something then? Because should we even label them then as angels and demons? Because aren't they one and the same?
Angels just means messenger.
Right.
So, I mean, a demon, a god, a person can be an angel.
Mm-hmm.
It's just a divine messenger.
Yeah.
And you have to understand the meaning. The English language is such a bastard language and meant to confuse. And that's why, like, you have to study history. You have to study the etymology of words in order to get an understanding of an aspect of these beings. Because it's not going to be a full definition.
Mm-hmm.
And when you have a messenger, like you have messengers that deliver bad messages. You have messengers that deliver good messages. That's just the nature of things. And these messengers that deliver the truth that you don't want to hear, those are the ones that people vilify.
Yeah. Seriously. Yeah. I agree.
I had Samael tell me that God, quote unquote, shows you what face you need. And, like if you're dealing with a demon, who's to say that there's nothing to learn from that expression, that so-called derivative of the original source?
Very true. Very true. Mm.
So what are the... I wanted to know what you said you venerate the ancestors, and I think you said you dealt with the dead, if I'm correct.
Yeah, those that have left the physical and is now living inside of the ether.
So from your experiences, what do they think of heaven and hell? Like, what is their definition of those two?
They tell me it doesn't exist. That it doesn't exist. That there is just is, unless they are inside of the nothing, is what they call it. And none of them wants to go to the nothing. And so when I asked them what is the nothing, they said it is a void of anything. So how they are like living simultaneously with us inside of this matrix, but they are in the matrix and out of the matrix because they are inside of the ether, right? And they are everything. But yeah, right, gratitude, but also could be considered as nothing, because people don't believe they exist because they can't see them. I, however, understand and know that they are very real because they told me that they are actually the living and we are the dead. We are inside of dead flesh, and until we are released from this dead vessel, then we begin to live.
Right.
Does that go back? I got a question. Xero. When you were working with Lilith, right? The point where she had to endow envour you, right? And like get rid of your vessel, right? The sole purpose. Remember you was telling me about that part where she had to eat.
Oh, where she devoured me?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That point.
I mean,
is that like a resurrect of being like born over again? and release from like the parasites.
Well, it's like a spiritual death. In order to become anew and become something different, you have to die to this world and the way it's thinking of its thinking. And so, the abyss and being devoured by Lilith is that spiritual death. You come out as a new being because you're looking at the world from a different perspective. And there's no going back from there. And you're dead to the world, and that's why, like, a lot of people who are spiritual teachers get attacked by the people in the world who want to troll these channels because you don't belong there. And it's like an immune system. The white T cells are coming to attack a foreign vessel within the body. They're like, you're the wrong frequency. Fuck out of here.
Yeah. So what is, because I know the nothing can also be considered the abyss. What is the abyss to you?
The abyss is a great place. I mean, there's the esoteric and then there's the exoteric. And the esoteric is the deeper meaning, the meaning that is personal and within. So you have both a actual place that is without, and then you have a place of the abyss that's within. And I feel like the abyss within is just a place where you meet a lot of the aspects of yourself.
Love that.
That you don't want to deal with. And they manifest as demonic creatures. And those are the parts of yourself that you have to integrate to become one being, to become a healthier individual.
Yes, your alternates. And they could be living and being very reckless if you're not, whole, or if you're not doing what needs to be done in some aspects. I love that. I love that you said that. Gratitude. I think that's something for us to consider and look at a little deeper. Gratitude.
Absolutely. And the beautiful thing about it is when people look into it, and this is the thing that I love to hear. I love it when somebody has their own experience, and they tell me about how their light bulb went off. And it's kind of like I've met many people who are on the same level, but they got there from a different angle, from a different perspective. Like what you believe, there's nothing wrong with that. And like maybe I don't achieve gnosis by following in your footsteps, but that doesn't mean that nobody can achieve gnosis. That does not mean that you've never achieved gnosis, because it doesn't work for me. By the way you speak and hold these beings with such high regard, you can tell that you've had an experience, because that kind of love cannot be faked, and that realness.
I mean,
like, where it's like, no, they're not all rainbows and sunshine. Like, they can tear you up.
Yeah, I absolutely love the intra beings that I work with, that I've come to know, that I teach on. I absolutely love it. I would never go back, ever, because of the genuine bliss that I feel, working with them and allowing myself to understand me and who I am. And again, I agree, because my truth may not be truth. Okay, that's the Christian, there's something okay. Don't work for me. Don't live in a bubble. I live outside the bubble. period, so.
And just for, any Christians that would happen to see this and think that we're all satanic, just because we don't see things from your perspective.
Is it still breaking up, you guys?
That, we are.
I don't know why it's breaking up.
Your God, or against Christ, or against the Savior. Like my experiences.
They didn't want y'all to hear that.
Caused me to see things from a different perspective and reach my own appreciation of that pantheon through my experiences.
Perfect word, pantheon. Absolutely.
Yeah, and so, like all these people, they want to get aggressive, and they think that what we do is a condemnation of them and their beliefs. And it's like, no, like, you're free to believe whatever you want. Just please, like, don't come and like step on my feet because I believe differently.
That
like
part.
We can coexist.
Yeah.
Chill the fuck out.
Chill the fuck out. Yes, chill the fuck out. Allow me to live outside of the bubble. You know what I mean? I'm living outside of the bubble, and I just have a different understanding of things. And if people have a different understanding, I think that's okay. You know what I mean? So.
And it's just like there's a beauty about agreement, like disagreement. I mean, because it challenges the way that we think, and it causes us to kind of, I feel from a mature perspective, it causes us to try to see from that point of view. And by doing that, we grow. So there's nothing wrong with having a different belief and saying, no, I don't agree with what you're saying. Okay, that's fine. That helps me to come up with a logical conclusion of how to help people understand why I've come to my belief. Not to make them believe the same as me, though. I love that challenge.
Yeah. My thing is, I just want people to think. You know what I mean, Xero?
Exactly. Amen. Like, that's the biggest part. Like, do your research. Tell me why you believe in something.
Yes.
Like, show me sources. Like, okay. Like, where I'm like, okay. If you're just coming at me all crazy, then of course I'm going to come back at you crazy. You know what I'm saying? Like, but we don't have to do it this way.
Like, even if you don't believe in anything that I'm saying, that's okay with me. I just want you to think and find out what it is that you really, what registers to you and what works for you in your experience.
Yeah. That's it. That's all. Be yourself.
Be yourself. Yeah. Yeah. Gratitude for that. So my question to you is, when you said that she devoured you, like, I'm trying to, what does that mean? What is that experience?
It's kind of like Lilith is a representation of Earth. And when we die, we're buried in the earth. So to me, like when she said she would devour me, that was symbolism of me dying spiritually. Having that earth, that divine feminine swallow me. Because, okay, so if you study the story of Osiris, okay, Osiris was killed and thrown into a river, and the river is a feminine element. So he was submerged. All his pieces were submerged, and that was his symbolic death. And being submerged in that water, because it was a river, represented progress, and that was a spiritual progress. And so, like, we have to die. We have to be able to shed who we were in order to change into our higher potential selves. And that is what we had to do. Like, the earth is a feminine element, so we have to engulf ourselves.
I love that you keep saying that, because I mean, that really ruffled some feathers yesterday when Z asked me the question. But I love that you say that, and I understand, because when you say water is a feminine element, I understand that it gives life,
Mhm.
it births, so I totally get that. Gratitude.
Yeah, I mean, it's in the end, I believe in non-duality, but in order for us to understand certain concepts, we have to split them in between, like light, dark, masculine, feminine.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why I use these terms.
Mm-hmm.
But there have been people that said that Lilith has come as a male, and that just goes to show that these beings also understand that um, the concept of non-duality. And it's really about us understanding the concepts that help us to grow. Um, and
I understand. Yeah, gratitude.
yeah, but yeah, you have to. I've always believed that you have to give credit where credit is due. Like one isn't better than the other. They just have their different places. They have their different applications.
Mm-hmm.
And by practicing that balance, that's what makes us whole.
Mm-hmm.
So
I appreciate that. It's been very interesting.
yeah, and it's man, like I love the spirits that have stayed with me the longest, and Lilith is one of those spirits. And I feel like the demonic, the chaos, the darkness, even though there were difficult times that I went with her, there were also times that, she did try to adapt in order to make me happy, which was like a total surprise because we're told that Lilith, we're misguided thinking that Lilith hates men. Lilith does not hate men. But at the same time, it's just like you have to show respect for her as well. You
That
have to
part.
respect her place.
Yes, because I definitely don't hate men. You know what I mean? But I think that was a misconception of the question that he posed to me yesterday. That I have, I think that I don't know, but I agree, and I get that, and I appreciate that from you as well. So interesting.
Um, Zero, could you elaborate on a lot of the what we did the other night about Hakate, about when you first was working with her and how her spirit is a loving when you went to visit her in the astral as well.
Well, Hecate is one of those. I mean, she's one of those big entities, and she is like a mother to me. She's like an adopted mother,
Mm-hmm.
because Lilith claimed me as her child, and I feel like anyone who teaches you something to benefit yourself and something deep takes that parental uh, place, you know.
Mm-hmm.
But anyway, so Hecate is like an adopted mother. She is kind of strict. Like she's not one to play around. She's very serious. There was one time when I was experimenting, contacting through being high off of marijuana, and she didn't, like she put up with it for a little bit, but then she made her point that she did not appreciate that.
Mm-hmm.
She wants you to benefit off of your own power.
Yes.
She is not, you know, I personally feel like the real gods do not ask you for worship. She has never asked for worship.
Absolutely. No.
Like what you have to offer, due to your appreciation, is what she accepts. If you have nothing, she still comes to you.
Mm-hmm.
She still embraces you.
Mm-hmm.
There was one time when I was having a problem seeing her, her human aspect, because my brain says they're not really human. There's something bigger.
Mm-hmm.
And so with her, it was hard to get a visual and connect. And so I asked her, I said, if I decide to go on a shamanic mushroom journey, would that be okay? And she gave me the green light for that. And through that, I didn't contact her humanoid form, but I was able to contact other forms because she's known as the goddess of the earth, the sea, and the sky. So I was able to see her sea as well as her celestial aspects. And it was beautiful. Like the celestial aspect, she came to me as a whole living planet covered in plants. And the plants were alive. And like the vines were like moving and reaching out to touch you. But it wasn't like a terrifying, in a terrifying way.
Mm-hmm.
When she showed me her sea aspect, she was a squid and her tentacles filled the whole sea. And they would cradle you like a baby while you're in the sea. And it was great, and then later on, like she showed me a humanoid form. Like she has a giantess form where it's a black woman with an afro.
Mother Adina, yes.
But then there's also a form of her that's in this black dress, and she has pale skin, and she looks very regal, and she does not blink, which creeps me out. And a big thing about like our ancestors and our deities, people argue about race. They do not care about race. They will take multiple forms. Like sometimes, I've had another person tell me that they will take a form that you might despise in order to test you.
Yeah. I've had what I consider genomes, white people come out of the blue and help me and disappear into thin air. And I understood then, I'm dealing with something, what I would call and reference at that time, angels. Like, oh shit, that's an angel right there. Like, I'm looking down the street like, there's no way this person just disappeared into thin air, And so even on this walk, they told me not all genomes are genomes. You know what I mean? So all white people are not white people, no matter what it is that you think. You know what I mean? So we have to use our discernment in how we maneuver and how we because some are planters. You know what I mean? So we have to understand that. So I agree. I show gratitude.
Yeah. So Hecate is also the type, if she knows that you've reached a certain level where you can do things for yourself, she will tell you to leave her the fuck alone. She will kick you out to play. She will tell you that you know enough. Go do shit. That's the beautiful thing about Hecate.
Wow.
But it's not like it's not like she's telling you never to come back because she helped me. When I'm like, I know you told me to go do my thing, but like I'm just asking for your wisdom and just a hint here, and then she'll give me guidance. For example, there was one time when I don't remember the problem, but I was having trouble figuring out what was the right thing to do. And I came to her and I just asked her, I said, I know you told me not to come to you for everything, and I'm just asking you for a tidbit of wisdom. I said, how do I know I'm doing the right thing? And there was a message that came to me instantly. And she said, do what you feel makes the world beautiful. And I was like, hot damn.
That's what I'm talking about. See, this is the energy. And what I'm saying, when she told me the other day, like, you calling her Hecate? Am I saying it correctly?
Yeah, I mean,
Hagate.
like, I spell it with a K. Like
Yes.
my name.
But I also, I reference her as the grandmother Adina, the alpha of the DNA, also known as the intranet. Now, and that's the way she looked when she came to me. Her skin was extremely dark with gold flakes in it, and she had a huge afro. And extremely beautiful. She smells amazing. And she told me the other day, that's who stepped forward and said, listen, it's not playtime, it's game time. Like there are some things going on amongst the, planetary people. And we need messages out. So it was like, oh shit. Oh, they ain't playing today. Like, okay. So
Yeah, like she's the one that, like even, when I was having problems connecting to the angelic, I used her energy as a third party in order to call them in and deal with them, and had no problem while she was there. Like, that's how powerful Hecate is.
Yes. When I do my aesthetics, she covers me and my soul, my body, my vessel, so I don't die from alcohol poisoning. People don't get that shit. I am not a drinker. I do not drink whatsoever. But when I drink for the deities inside of my aesthetic, like the last one that was in North Carolina, Papa Candelo drank an entire bottle and was still functioning. Me, if Quatita, 1.5 drinks, I am drunk. You know what I mean?
Man, I seen that. I seen one of your lives. Like I seen one of them like that when you had the bottle. And Papa Cadella came through.
Yeah, he will drink.
That. I was like, wow. I'm saying, I guess the energy kind of like protects you in your body.
Absolutely.
When you go into the channeling and all
that. Yes, he tells everyone, I cannot leave her vessel. If I leave her vessel, she will die of alcohol poisoning. And so he stays in my vessel until my body is recovered. And sometimes I will wake up and see I'm in a different place. I have no idea where I am. And then I'm back out. And they will think they're talking to me until they realize, oh, it's Pop again, because that means I'm not ready to come back into my vessel. And so when I do, it's usually some throwing up going on. Needing some water, and like, what is happening right now? What happened? Did we do work? Did people get healed? Like, what's happening? So it's a beautiful thing.
I've had moments when there was one time when Horus took over, and I was in a messed up state, and he protected me. But it was funny because my friend had come to check in on me and didn't know what was going on, and told me, because I asked him, I told him I didn't remember the experience. I asked him what happened, and he told me, like, we had this deep ass conversation. I'm like, dude, you weren't talking to me, bro. I was
gone. Yeah. I so get that. Like, wow. I agree. Gratitude.
And it was funny because Horace does not know how to drive, but somehow I made it to Walmart, and I ended up buying carrot cake, baby carrots, and then I had like tropical trail mix. And apparently this was part of his craving. And I also had some marshmallows that he ate. Like, I woke up the next day and my marshmallows were gone. And I was like, what the fuck?
I've done that. Like, where's my food at? They like, Papa ate it. What? Ate my whole fucking plate? Like, what? Yeah.
Like, I was looking forward to that shit.
Yeah.
Apparently he was too, And then, like, the baby carrots were left out. The carrot cake was gone. The trail mix was gone. Like, the shit was crazy.
That's amazing.
And I only remember, like, bits and pieces. I remember, like, him trying to pay for the food and not knowing what the fuck coins are. Like,
yeah. Yeah, it's only bits and pieces that comes back. Like, what? Yeah. What?
And, like, I've also had Thoth kind of take over. I call it co-piloting because I'm still aware.
Yeah.
And, I believe they call it two-headed possession in the African circles. but like he's the type that's very curious. And like with my friends, like the ones that I'm very close to, he tends to be touchy feely, you know, because he's like, oh, look at skin, look at like little.
Oh, that's
details.
squipperlish. She will pull up a shirt and touch somebody's body in a minute. Like, let me see
Oh no.
yours.
Oh yeah, like no, he's not that invasive.
No, she is. She definitely has come through touching people. She has, listen, different deities have come through and put my shirt up in the middle of an event, like, and squeeze my breast because they like want to know. They will squeeze my stomach and say she is fat. Like, what is wrong with her vessel? Like, you know, it is, sometimes it is embarrassing, but it is what it is. And I love them all, you know. That's amazing.
Yeah, there's one time I was, you know, full of Tahuti, and he just wanted to stare at a tree bark, you know, and touch it, like, because it was like the texture was amazing. They just wanted to know what it felt like from our perspective.
Yes.
There's one time, like the first time I invoked him, like I had to relearn how to walk. I had to relearn what a hand was. I'm like, oh look, oh that's interesting. I can bend these. Like, oh, that's how you bend a finger. And I had to relearn that shit.
That's dope. That's very interesting. Yes. Very interesting. Gratitude for the combo.
So what is like with your spirits that you deal with? What is their take on religion in general? You know, because like you say, okay, so not just the toxic religion, but like let's say like the theology of the different cultures. How do they feel about that?
Well, they've told me that it was developed to tear apart um different cultures of people. And that's why I said you used the great word pantheon, because they tell me that there are different pantheons, but they tell me that long time ago, they taught me that religion was developed to keep people from good communication, from people not understanding what the truth is. And as long as people are fighting about what God is correct, they don't get to the next level. They don't get to the place of what they should get to.
Right.
And so that's why I understand that whatever works for you works for you, because they tell me don't argue with anyone about religion. Religion is not a real thing. It is the worship of many.
Right. Well, I mean, like I've had angels that are part of the Christian pantheon reference me to different cultures. I've had angels tell me about African gods. You know, I've had you know, Christian entities refer to Greek entities or the Norse pantheon. I've been getting a lot of Norse lately for some reason. I don't know anything about the Norse culture, you know, but like I've been getting Valkyries. You know, I feel like Freya stepped in and has visited me, and you know, I called for an angel, you know, just a basic general call, and I got an angel that was speaking with me through runes, and like I don't know what these runes mean. I have to go and look this shit up.
Yeah.
But you know, they're not doing something I'm familiar with. They're not showing me things from a Christian perspective, per se.
Yes.
You know?
Yes.
They're coming from a pagan source.
Okay. Understood. They've told me that they have been known by many names.
Yeah.
You know, so that's how I also understand the different levels and the different names. And that's why I don't, like when you said Hecate, I understand that we may be talking about the grandmother, You know what I mean? So I don't, because even when Adina came to one of my clients that we call the cousins over here, who was in a facility, and he said he saw her come out of a wall. And he said, "Who are you?" And she said, "I've gone by many names. And you're going to leave here now. There's nothing wrong with you." Next day, he was released. You know what I mean? But because people don't understand, like, how they deal with him, they assume he's crazy and keep putting him in facilities.
Right.
Because he's not fitting the Christian, idyllic, like the whole institution of religion. You know what I mean?
Right.
And I think that is, excuse my language, I think it's fucked up that, people, if you don't fit that agenda, they can't understand you. And so, I understand this, however they deal with you, whatever your understanding is. And so when Z first appeared on the scene for me, I understood, which is why I was excited to do this today, is because, they're ready for me to get an understanding more of what is known as demons, or the daemons. You understand? So, especially because of the workings that I have done with the Zazel, you know. And I did look that up because I'm like, I know this name. Where do I know this name from? And when I went to the X-Men and I saw, oh shit, they got this character, Azazel,
in a comic book.
In a comic book. Like, so they know what we don't know and they don't want us to know it. So now it's time that we know it.
And the crazy thing is, I've had demons tell me that they work for God. They work for God. Or, like working with Lilith. Lilith is known as the mother of demons. She's so evil, but yet she told me to study the Christ. She said that's how I would advance. She's the one who got me into Gnosticism. And she's the one who I now have when I was coming out of Christianity, I wanted nothing to do with the Bible. But now I have a better understanding and a better appreciation of the Bible. Now I can get some enjoyment out of reading it. And that's what dealing with the so-called mother of demons. Such an evil being. That's what I got from my experience with her.
I can definitely respect it. I definitely respect that.
And like they show so many things in such a variety of ways. It puts flavor back into life. Puts the quality back into life, and they teach you to look at the world in such a different way, that just separates you from all the bullshit that most people get caught up in.
Do you find it takes away the fear?
Definitely. Oh, definitely. They take away the fear, because when you have an understanding of what life really is, and you have an understanding of what eternity is, and our connection, and an understanding of energy, like, what the fuck is there to fear?
Yeah. Yeah. Gratitude. Absolutely. Wowzers.
And they push experience, learning from experience. They want you to have an appreciation for life, and they want you to make life beautiful. And working with demons, people think that you go crazy, temporarily, yes, but I've never had a demon tell me to do something fucked up, like kill somebody for no reason, or go insane, or go on a killing spree, or I've never had a demon that was supposedly a killer of children hurt any of the children that I was associated with. And it's so crazy how people are scared of these beings, and when you come to an understanding of them, they're not scary at all. Like, they're smart. They have senses of humor. Yes, they can be dangerous, but like if you use your
If you're commenting, I
common
can't
sense,
see it because
you'll
it
be
has
good
stopped.
for the
The
most
comments
part.
have stopped. I can't see any comments.
Yeah, that's what you was telling. You was teaching when you was telling me about get to know them and be more respectful. When I had learned that from you,
Yeah,
because
like,
you could get in a situation and think real negative and it be something else.
and it's just like it's only natural to understand how they can be certain ways. Because like, imagine me seeing you on the street as a stranger, and if I treat you like shit, it's going to be your natural response to mirror that attitude, you know. So if we come in with the mindset of, oh, this is the demon, this is a negative energy, like this thing hates me, that's what we're going to get. Because we're not coming with the right attitude. When you start seeing, to me, now when I approach an entity, when I tap into a certain frequency, you know, I consider that particular being as family. And I've never had any being say, no, you're not part of my family. You know, I've never had any being say, no, you're not my brother or you're not my sister. But like, when you treat them like that, like somebody who's close to you, whether it's a mother, a father, a sister, a brother, a lover, you know, then you're more likely to have a positive experience with that entity. I mean, sometimes because we have a difference of personality, it doesn't work out. Like, we don't always get along with our family. But even the entities that I have not been able to get along with well, I've still had profound experiences with them when I said, you know what, I'm gonna love you like family.
Well, I just recently had one. I was listening to the conversation, like what I was explaining. Like sometimes I hear them conversing, and the energy spirit said to me plainly, "I don't really want to work with you." Like, oh, okay, no problem. You know what I mean? Again, people don't know that these conversations happen. You know, and I said, okay, no problem. You know, they felt like I was very hard headed when it came to like my diet and different things like that, and did not want me to make his job harder. So he said, I don't really want to work with you. So if he stuck around, I'm not sure. But you know, that was a conversation that I did hear, and they made sure that I heard it. So,
and sometimes they do that as a protection. Like, you're not ready for that energy. That energy would blow your mind up. You know what I'm saying? Like with Hecate. Hecate is infamous for being a deity that will pass you off the deity that is better for you at that time. And, you know, people don't understand that. You know, they take it as an offense, and it's like, no, it's not an offense. It's just that you're not at a certain level where you need to be in order for what they have to give you to benefit you. So instead of crippling you by giving you something you're not ready for, they're going to present a situation where you do get inspired and you do learn at the pace and the level that you can at this moment.
I agree. I think it's a good thing though. You know what I mean? I do. I think it's a good thing, and yeah, I don't see it. Feel like I don't care. Like, you know, it is what it is. You know, I work with the grandmother and I work with Yehuda, and for me, shit, that's what I'm good with. That's what I'm okay with. But if there's other intra beings that they want me to work with, then I absolutely will. And sometimes, you know, they have to tell me like, stop being so hard headed. You know, you need this, you need to grow from this, you need to learn this lesson. so you can move forward. Like, come on
Right.
now. And so I will, I will. Even if, oh, child, even inside of some like my anger, because I have a temper. And so, like even yesterday, I went and got something to eat and it was horrible. I mean, from the me ordering it and me knowing I should have just pulled off to when I received it, it was horrible. And I ate. I said, you know what? This is so good. This is the best that I have had. Oh, it is so piping hot. Um, I'm not even going to allow myself to feel any other way because you don't have control over me that way. I have control over me.
Mm.
So it's different lessons that I am learning inside of my experience in the physical.
I see you changed a lot over the years because I used to watch you about some years ago, and I just see how you grew with these spirits because you did a totally change. Because
Yeah.
you went from like compressing that energy of that negative, and it seemed like you just got sweet and sweeter with it. That's just as time go by. You know what I mean?
I appreciate that because that's why I have an issue with some people that just want to jump into my shoes because they see the work that I do when not understanding these it's levels to it. From my perspective, it's levels to it. And I had to go through a lot and grow a lot from working with the ancestors to being introduced to um, Orishas, Loas, deities, grand and high council. You understand me? Like I had no idea what was set forth for me, but I had to grow and go through some things. Even with the dying on the table and then coming back, and then people want to discredit that. Well, Papa said you didn't really die, ma'am. I understand what my doctors told me, and you were not in the hospital, but that's how people try to discredit who I am and the walk that I've had to walk. You have not had to go through what I had to go through to get to the level of where I am with the understanding. And I've been through a lot so I can understand the people that I come across and the work that I do. You know what I'm saying? I was a stripper. What? I used to snort coke. What? Yeah. I've done a lot of shit. I done been arrested. You know what I mean? My best friend's daughter was murdered. Like I've done a lot, been through a lot. So now I can understand and we can have conversations that without judgment. You
People
understand
do
me?
change.
You
People
know?
change.
And my anger I'm trying to not suppress but learn to grow with,
Right.
you know and as I learn my alchemy and my spirit work, my soul work, which they get very annoyed because who'd have said I should be doing soul and spirit work daily. Like, oh, Katina, you did some readings and you did some past life readings over the last 2 days. You didn't give some, so you think you didn't did something today, huh? Like, so you ain't got to do nothing else. Well, I do, you know what I mean?
I
So
saw that. That's a beautiful thing right there too.
yeah, and I grow, and if you're not growing, then what are you doing? What are you doing it for?
Yeah. Yeah. And a lot of people, you know, they think that everything's going to be positive. It's like no, it's not positive.
Mm-mm.
There's a such thing as called growing pains. I literally talked to one of my spirits, and the spirit was like, "Yeah, I love you." And I said, "Do I learn from you?" And they said, "Yes." And I said, "How do you teach me?" And he said, "Through pain." And I was like, "All right, if you love me, why do you teach me through pain?" And he was like, "That's what it takes to grow. That's what puts you in a situation where you're going to do something different. Like that growth is not comfortable."
Mm-hmm. Exactly what I was told. One day I was walking up the street. It had rained, and it was drops of rain coming off the leaves as I was walking to the bus stop. And the spirit spoke to me and said, "People are like the trees, and they're like grass. Without rain, you'll never grow. So it can't be all sunshine. If it was all sunshine and damn daisies, like shit, when you come across something that doesn't feel good, you would explode. You would sink. You don't even know how to handle it. So you have to go through some things in order for you to get to the best part of yourself.
Correct.
You got to know your power, your strength. You can't ask for patience and then never get tested.
Plus, it's like, all right, so if we don't learn how to deal with something and that situation keeps popping up, we're going to have a fucking meltdown every single time.
Every time.
But, like, if we've dealt with that situation and we learned how we got through it, when that comes up again, you know, it's like, whatever, you know. And that's the thing. There's a lot of us who are deep within our currents. We have thick skin because we've put through a lot, and it's just like we don't give a shit anymore.
That part.
You know, and it's a good thing because, one, you know, as people who are reaching out to help others understand, you know, we do need that thick skin because there are going to be people who test us. And how we respond determines whether or not they listen to what we're saying, or they're willing to, you know, attach themselves to us. You know, we never know the motives sometimes of certain people.
I mean, I've been through it so many times, and so I so agree with that. And you know, people tend to disrespect your private space. You know, they don't give you, you know, it's a, well, you chose this. No, I work for the spirit. I work for the soul. That does not mean that you can cross my boundaries, because then you'll get the whatever part of me that you didn't know existed. I promise you.
And that's my question that you do not want to see.
Yeah.
I got a question. How does this Yehuda looks? I mean, his avatar or his you know.
Of course, his Kukusa. When I met him in my dream space, I woke up. I was walking down the street and I looked over and someone had my hand, and he was extremely tall, like you said, giantess. And his mane was huge. He was upright like a man, but he was a lion. And he had on a lavender robe trimmed in gold, and he was walking extremely fast. And I saw his like paw hand kind of thing holding my hand, and we were walking down this street. It was completely desolate. It was buildings everywhere, like being downtown, you know what I mean. And it was nothing, and I knew in that moment he was walking me to safety somewhere, and it was like I was back out. I passed back out. But he also shows me himself as a black man with dreads that are extremely long, that he likes to roll up in a crown. He has a big beard, extremely dark, very handsome, very muscular, loves martial arts.
I feel like, you know, there's a part of me that feels like I know Yehuda. Like,
absolutely. Absolutely. I am
that
sure.
resonates with me.
Yeah. They're shapeshifters. From my understanding, the deities or the entry beings that I work with, they're all shapeshifters, from being rhinos, hippopotamuses, like I said, lions, tigers, panthers, um, um, wolves. Like those are their kakusas. I've also had a dream of them coming down with white robes on, but all of their faces were like cartoon animal faces, like Sylvester the cat. And they were hitting the ground.
Xero just said something. I know. Remember a while back when you was telling me about that.
Oh, please tell me.
How they was starting to look like real cartoonish now.
Yeah, I've had a lot of, not a lot, but I've had quite a few spirits pop up looking like cartoons.
Wow.
Like, and you know, the funny thing is, I've had somebody tell me that they've seen spirits as cartoons, but then even I watch a lot of YouTube, right? And I was watching this this movie preview of a demon that came as a cartoon, that was terrorizing these people inside this house that they, this demon that they conjured. I'm like, that's very interesting. Sometimes Hollywood tends to show us what really is, but we're thinking this is entertainment.
Yeah, because it's universal law. They have to.
Yeah. But they really do show up like that. I've had one of the spirits that Belial was in charge of. He came to me and he was teaching me about the power of liminal spaces. And he looked like a cartoon. Like, he was like squat. He had one eye, and he was wearing like one of those safari jackets, the brown khaki. He was dressed in that. And he was telling me about the different things and how to create using the energy of the liminal space. But you have like this crazy looking cartoon thing talking to you. Like, what the fuck is going on?
Yeah.
I mean, I know that I should be taking what he's saying seriously, but the way he looks is crazy.
That's interesting. I've seen them in my sleeping state. Yeah, it's cartoon faces. That is so interesting. Wow.
And I had, have you ever seen that cartoon called Real Monsters?
No, I haven't.
There was a cartoon back in the day, and it was part of Snick. Like, this is dating me, but like when I was a kid, Saturday night Nickelodeon had this cartoon that was called Real Monsters, and they had these characters of monsters that would go around, and they would go around scaring kids, and that's how they got their energy or whatever, and that's how they lived. But the cartoon followed certain monsters,
like Monsters Inc.
It's kind of, except it was it was dark. It was a bit darker, and it was more enjoyable for me. It wasn't cute like Monsters Inc. Let's put it that way. And they the body. I've seen a demon that looked just like that. And there was another character that was a body that was holding its eyeballs with its hands. I've seen spirits like that. In cartoon form and in live action form.
I had to refresh it, you guys, because it was
we was talk about
it
some
was
of the angels and
stuck
stuff,
on my end.
And that some of the angels, when you conjure them up, they have multiple eyes and stuff like that.
Oh yeah. I've seen angels that are cyclopses. I've seen angels that are a sea of eyes, like Azazel. Azazel has a shitload of eyes.
You know what? Don't fuck me up like that.
Yeah.
A lot of times in my pictures, you can see eyeballs all over my face or all around me, and like, whose eye is that? Like, it's just eyeballs. I can never understand this.
Like, Azazel came to me looking like the almost like that acidic DMT art, where like you see all the different colors and then you see the eyeballs within, and they're just like going out in the different cones and stuff like that. That's how he's appeared one time.
I saw him as a reptilian, like he was a huge reptilian, almost looked like a dinosaur to me, with very shiny, like very like almost not lime green, but very like emerald green. It looked like a suit, but it could be skin, very shiny. And he had a tail, and he was huge. I mean, like huge. And he stood there in front of my sister, but his like what I could see of his like reptilian looking face was like brown in a sense. So that's how I saw him, but I couldn't see like features. of the face, and it was only from the side that I saw it. And so yeah, no, I don't know, but I see eyeballs in my pictures a lot.
When I fused with them, I ended up getting like eyeballs along my eyebrow and then going down my arm. That's how I saw myself in the vision. But like there are like a lot of the deities and a lot of the spirits are tied to snakes and reptilians.
Yes, they are.
There's a lot of like snake symbology, and like back in the day, the same word that you use for snake was the same word they use for dragon. So they're kind of synonymous.
Yes,
they're
they are
interchangeable, and that's why a lot of the different entities that we see are compared to dragons.
And I don't believe that they're all quote unquote evil.
Right.
And I know that because I was on a shrooms trip one time, and I was taken into this place where my whole room turned into scales. And I was standing in front of this huge woman that was half reptilian, well, snake, serpent. Her bottom half and her top half was like a woman. So I was not fearful. It was weird. You know what I mean? That's why I don't do the shrooms, man. I can't fuck with that. Like, you know what I mean? Like, now I don't know what the fuck is going on. Like, and I can't come out of it like I want to, you know, like, but yeah, I seen that, and I understand that not everything is what we think, and so we have to expand in our mind. Let me tell you this too, Mr. Xero. I was on a really strong shrooms trip. It was amazing. And my ex was standing outside. I'm like, what are you doing? It's freezing outside. And when I stepped outside, I saw diagrams in the sky. It was the most amazing shit I've ever seen. I was out there for an hour full of tears, cold. I couldn't stop looking at them. And I heard them speaking. I said, oh shit, the constellations speak. They talk. And sometimes they have different colors. Like, what? I saw it before on a different trip. The stars were different colors and they were blinking different colors.
I was told one time that light has sentience. Light has life. The stars are compared to as angels, you know, and these different constellations that we go to give us understanding. Those are connected angels that are like teaching us, you know, through those constellations. They're telling us a story.
I understand. The diagrams really trip me out. I can't even make it make sense. It was like beyond the stars or up where you would see the stars at. It was like diagrams. You ever seen, what is it called? Oh my God. It's not the lotus flower. It is, what is that called? It starts with a K. But it's like a diagram. Oh my gosh. And sometimes when people do it, they put one foot up on one thigh, right? Um, it's not the see, that's not Kama Sutra, that's something sexual. I'm talking about something else, but it's diagrams. It looked like that, like almost like an octagon kind of thing. And it had
some type of yoga or something.
Yeah, but it's oh, I can't think of it. I can't think of the name, but um it was huge in the sky, and it was diagrams that stretched like from one, this lines, different lines. It almost looks mathematical. Do you understand? You know what I'm saying? This motherfucker then said kaleidoscope. No, Mona Lisa. I can't think of, and maybe the macabre. Maybe that's what it is. The macabre. But it was diagrams in the sky. I have never seen anything like that, and I understood we don't vibrate high enough to see half the shit that we should be seeing.
I believe that. That's facts.
You know, it's funny that you were talking about like diagrams and mathematics, because, you know, at a certain point, you know, divine geometry like is a thing. I was talking to, I call it Lambda. It calls itself Lambda, and it was talking about how it was talking to me in geometry.
Kabbalah.
You know, it was telling me about how it's the archangel of 90 degrees, the 45 degrees, the 180 degrees. Like it's talking all this circular and half circular shit and what triangles mean from a mathematic point of view and how they represent the Trinity and all kinds of crazy shit like that. And I'm like, damn, like, when did I go back to school? You know? But it's insane how, like, you know, like, now I'm starting to use more numerology. Like, that's a thing. Like, that works. Like, there's a way that you can connect all the shit that you really know to, like, math and numbers. And, man, it's like...
When I first started walking in my journey of reading, they kept telling me to use the Pythagorean theorem. I am not even good with math. I had no clue what that was. So when I looked that up, I said, shit, you're just going to have to give me the information, because if I got to use numbers, it's never going to work for me. So they just give me the info. Like, I can use tarot cards and shit like that and runes, but because that's where I used to play with it. Regular cards, tarot cards, runes, you know, because I used to test myself. But I also understand I don't need it. I think it is called the Kabbalah. I think it's the Kabbalah of what I was trying to get to. But they said the Pythagorean theorem. I don't know. I can't do gematria. I can't make it make sense to my mind.
Yeah, I rely on a gematria calculator because that's too above me.
Yeah. Understood.
But I mean, like, the numbers have been so revealing, you know, and I like gematria better because it allows for you to work through your understanding. There are a lot of different sayings or different words that you can get from certain calculations that you do with that numerology system. But it allows you to have more of a discernment. Like, it doesn't tell you directly what it means. It gives you a list of these things that it equals and allows you to choose what you believe the number is expressing to you. And that's why I fuck with it so hard. Like, when I'm working on writing a book about contacting angels.
Yes, it looked like a fucking shield. Serendipity. It looked like a shield
for me.
Understood. That's this has been so enlightening to me. I love to hear different perspectives and people's different walks. This has been so enlightening. I am so enamored. Gratitude for sharing your info with me, man.
This is fun. I enjoy learning about other people's way of believing and the different cultures. So I really appreciate getting a chance to speak with you.
Yeah, I have just another question before I get out of here, because ZEnergy has brought the Goetia to me, and I feel like I need to know more about it. I've looked it up. I've seen the beings and what they look like, but I would love information from you both, or tell me, like, give me some more knowledge on it.
72 beings. They're how do I mean, it's okay. A lot of the information, first of all, is coded. You know, they say, like, there are a lot of beings that are good for finding treasure. Don't take that literally. A treasure is knowledge.
Got it.
Okay. So, but a lot of the Goetic spirits are some of the old gods. You know, I've had certain books that I've had on the Goetia that said that one of the goetic spirits is tied to Enlil, you know, or like you have Belial, you have Baal, you have these, you know, like supposed demons that were Old Testament bad guys.
Oh, well, wait a minute now. I got to ask because you didn't say it now. So now I got to ask it in Lil, right? Um, just let's just go here for a second. My gosh. What do you know about this the Enlil, and is it Inky or something? Is that correct? They're like siblings or something? Because I was just recently told when I did a world reading that these two beings are very present right now. And Donald Trump is going against these two beings.
I don't. Okay.
Allegedly.
Whatever. But I don't have a lot of personal experience with the Anunnaki pantheon. I can say that when I tapped into that energy, I saw Enki chasing Inanna. So and it was funny because I was invoking Inanna, and Enki
Inanna is
like
Ishtar, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Ishtar.
So Enki is like head over heels with her, like just enamored and just addicted to her. And that was funny how he came through. From what I know from the lore, Enki is the one who tries to help out human beings. He has like a Promethean, Luciferian kind of vibe to him. Whereas Enlil is more strict and, you know, I've even had certain grimoires describe him as a very dangerous spirit to deal with.
Mm-hmm.
Like the things that I've read about this particular spirit, be like, okay, that guy's an asshole. Like I'm not fucking with him. But like at the same time, it's about how you come at things. You know, if you have that mindset of that he's dangerous and he's gonna fuck you up, then yeah, like. But like if you approach him, say like with the mindset of a warrior spirit, you know, like warrior spirits have a certain way of thinking about things that just involve destruction and an understanding of death. And that may be something that we don't want to focus on. But that doesn't necessarily make them wrong. You know?
Yeah.
That's just them seeing the world from a different point of view.
I think what I need to do is take some of these names and look them up and do research because I want to understand how they coincide with the intra-beings, the deities that I work with. Because I know that they take their energy and they use their energy for negative. And that's how I first started working with them because they told me they were sick of that. They're sick of the bullshit, you know. And it's not justified usage. And so just looking at my chat over here and seeing what they're saying about them, when I did the reading, the world reading, they was telling me that and allegedly Elon Musk is using the energy. And it is a big battle that is going on between these disguised entities as well as the energy that they're using, and they're trying to each push their agenda, you know, using certain energies, and quote unquote psychic workers, you know, and magic workers, alchemy. And that was another question I was going to ask. Do you do alchemy or magic?
Well, I mean, alchemy is basically about perfecting yourself.
Okay, transition of self. Okay.
Yeah, like or transmutation of other things. And, you know, alchemy comes from Egyptian thought. You know, like it's found in Hermeticism, and you know, even alchemy has Chem in it, which is, you know, represents Kemet, which is ancient Egypt.
See, I know that deity as Sirion, the deity of light, then alchemy.
Yeah, and so like as let's say as somebody who studies Egyptian thought, Yes, I'm an alchemist. 100%.
So do you practice magic?
Yes.
Okay.
But I feel that, like we don't have a proper understanding of magic. When somebody says that, they think, um, just dancing around a fire for no reason. But like, there's a science to it. There is
I mean, like invoking the spirit, calling out to the energy, doing ritual work, like
meditating, yes,
herbs
all
and
that.
making things happen, or like, what I
Using
mean, whether you call
symbols.
it
Yeah,
voodoo, voodoo, hoodoo, like, are you
I'm
into
doing
the
that now.
work?
Yeah.
Yes. My approach to things has become more shamanic as of late. But yeah, from time to time I do rituals, but I do tap into a lot of different energies and, you know, um, get to know a lot of different magical beings.
Got it. I love it.
I'm
Gratitude.
currently I'm currently actually working with the angelics right now. I'm still going through a learning process right now. I'm still doing a lot of healing right now, and still trying to understand a lot of inner transition with myself.
Got it.
That's why I stepped in. I start asking questions. So when I'm start talking to Xero, he preferred me to. I think it wasn't Bune. It was
Buer.
Buell. Yeah.
Buer is the healer.
Yeah.
He's one of the goetic spirits.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because like, as I was telling ZEnergy, like, when you work with the angelics, they have a tendency to like work the shit out of you.
Oh yeah, that energy.
One of the things about light is that it's created through movement. Light can be created through friction. And so like their energy is going. They have a hyper vigilance, but they don't fucking sleep because of their nature.
They feel like you're on coffee.
And it's like, because they don't understand human nature. Some of them, a lot of them don't. They don't understand the need that like you need to rest. They're like, nah, we got shit to do. Like,
Absolutely.
So yeah. So somebody who's getting caught up.
Ooh, gratitude everybody for all of the different alchemy definitions. We get it. Gratitude.
To recuperate. And like, Buer is very good for that. Buer has helped me on a mental level as well as a physical level.
He also a herbalist.
Yeah, but he's never really talked to me about that. Like, I've gotten tips about herbs from other sources, but never, not too much from him.
Yeah, I know. I noticed the changes when I was telling you about that. It felt like you just come out of gym at times, but one time when I was like channeling and did working with Raphael, because I told him I wanted to get to know him, and I was asking for healing on that particular time. And when I did it that day, it just felt like I was on coffee all day. It just felt like a stream coffee, like a rush. Like you can't go to sleep. I couldn't even close my eyes at that time. But I know exactly what you was telling me about, and you do go through the the non-cravings, as in you lose an appetite.
The comments have it's frozen again. So if you're speaking, I can't see it because everything is frozen again. There it goes. It's now moving.
Appeal to you. A lot of shit that you used to like
hey,
doesn't
Ivory.
make any sense to you. Like, you go through a whole change when you start like really fucking with the heavenly energies. You go through bodily changes.
This was very interesting to me.
Z and I talk about how like sometimes we'll have like glittery skin.
Oh yeah, I get that now.
Or like with me, like I lost a shitload of weight. Where it's just like I wouldn't consider myself as having like flab or nothing, but I went from being in between 265 and 275 to being down to 219.
I got a piece of it.
And that didn't start happening. That physical change didn't start happening until I started working with light beings.
Yeah.
When you say, what do you mean when you say that? Working with the light beings helped you to lose weight? Because, child, whatever I need to do.
Well, you have to understand that certain entities that you deal with, you start taking on their aspects. So the angelics are constantly on. Like, they're on 1,000. They're always playing at 11. You know what I'm saying? So if you're constantly moving and constantly doing things, you're gonna slim down because, like, all of that, like, you're burning all those
Janice,
calories.
what do you mean? Just I. What are you questioning?
You end up burning that fat, and you're realizing, oh shit, like, my body is looking hella different.
Got it.
Yeah, exactly. Mm-hmm. I noticed that when you were telling me about it, you just said, make sure you tell them that you need time to sleep and be a human at times.
I thought it was just me.
What did you say?
No, I thought it was just me. Sometimes I have to tell them that, like, you're not in the physical right now. You're not in my human vessel. You don't understand. Like, there are certain things that we're going through, so I get that.
Yeah, I could be like, bro, and the other thing about angels is sometimes they tend to try to, like, hijack your shit and become, like, really bossy, and it's like, no, like, I asked you for X, Y, and Z. Like, I appreciate your input, but, like, I gotta live my own life.
Yep, I had to say that before too.
I love you and everything, but, like, I'm not gonna be doing everything that you're telling me. Like,
I had to have that conversation.
Also, I want to make a note that you can also make pacts with angels as well, because the pacts, and you were telling me to take my time when I was doing that. You were like, man, just take your time. You don't want to get into that just yet. You just telling me. You were telling me all the warning signs and all that. Remember?
Yep. I mean, like, even though they have a, they take things very seriously.
Mm-hmm.
Like military.
They're very, yes. Like,
it feels military to me. Yeah.
Like 10 times out of 10 when I contact an angel, it's a soldier. And even their culture is very strict. Like, whether they're soldiers or not. So, like, you have to be ready to have that order, that stability, and that consistency.
Especially if you're asking it of them, because I've had to tell, a spirit just recently, like, you cannot tell me, you cannot boss me, you cannot make me. You can suggest something, and if I do it, then I do it, but I have free will. So you just can't just tell me what I'm going to do.
Yeah, because Xero was. I was just saying. Go ahead.
Well, I was saying, like, you have to be careful too, because if you have a pact with them, if you have an agreement, that gives them certain powers, like certain authority. There was a time when, for example, the Goetia are seen as fallen angels. Some of them are seen as jinns, but there was one time when I took on King Payment as a teacher. And so I had something to do early in the morning, so I was trying to, like, go to sleep and, go to sleep early and be rested so I could do what I needed to do. King Payment comes in around 3 o'clock, and he's trying to teach me a lesson. And so, like, nicely, I told King Payment, I said, I have something to do in the morning, and can we do this later? And, I said, I really need sleep. King Payment wasn't having it. And so, like, I got mad. I was like, can you quit, motherfucker? And that was one of the biggest mistakes that I made, because what he did was he did something to me that had me wide the fuck awake, where I could not go back to sleep. And he was like, now that you're awake, I guess we can go with that lesson,
Yeah, totally get it. Listen, I've done that with Yosef. Like, I really want to get my body back in shape, and it's like, oh, you ready? Like, yeah. And he will wake me up at 6 or 7 in the morning, like, let's go. Like, no. Oh, what? Cause see, this your body. Don't worry about it. I got something I'm gonna do, and I'll go over there, and no elevators are working. I bet you has to take the steps. I bet you has to get the exercise in. You know, so I so get that. Absolutely. Yeah, they'll cancel your appointment. You got something to do? No problem. The wrong day. I mean, on the wrong day. No, I swore I made this for this day.
Yeah, because I learned a lot from Xero. But he just told me not to rush and don't kind of like move too fast when it comes to like inhaling a lot of that knowledge, because you can overwhelm yourself with like
Absolutely. Absolutely. I've seen it happen.
Insanity becomes a kill to the brain and the mind. And a lot of people make big mistakes as in moving forward, trying to learn trying to, jump into something so fast, jump to packs and stuff like that. And that's a killer right there.
Yeah, your mind becomes fractured. I've seen it happen in my walk. I've seen it happen several times with people where I would receive phone calls of people in, you know what I'm saying, in a state of mental emergency, where it's like, wait a minute, I just met you in person and this was not the person. What has happened? And it'd be like a complete break, a fracture in the mind. So you absolutely have to be careful about doing things too quickly.
I've had issues where I was tapping into Lucifer's energy and was going through like a crazy ass fracturing, where you can feel some certain things like that where it's just puts you to the point of like breaking down, and there's like a point of disassociation from yourself, like there's a total like there's like I wouldn't call it a total ego death, but like there is an ego death that comes upon you in a negative sense, because it's like you don't know how to function on this level, because you kind of like lost yourself in who you are or what everything means. Like you have no fucking clue what like regular shit means. So yeah, like you have to be careful. And there have been times when you think you're ready for certain information. It's like, no, you're not. There have been times when I've been so fucked up off of like what they've told me that they've had to reset me. They're like, okay, we're gonna stuff this in his subconscious, and then when he's ready, it's gonna surface. Because like that shit will have you crawled up in a ball in a corner somewhere. Like, I can't fucking take this right now.
That part. People don't believe me when I say they reset. I don't know if you even understand if I say, like, I've had them tell me they've reset time. They've done things so people are still in the living state of reset. Do you understand?
I get that very much so. I've recently remembered a time during my childhood when I drowned. Like, I was dead. Like, dead. Like, there was nobody coming to help me. There was nobody around to help me.
Oh my God.
All of a sudden, like, I was like reset. Like, I just appeared at the side of the pool coughing up water, and there still wasn't anybody like supervising me. Like, I'm a little fucking kid. And it's just like I'm here in the same timeline. It's not even a it's like a respawn, an instant respawn.
I was drowning in the bottom of the fucking lake, bro. I seen the white light and I heard my mom screaming. I was like 2 or 3 years old and they snatched me out of the lake. You've got to be fucking kidding me. Do you think that's a connection inside of what we do or the experiences that we're having?
I think that, yeah, I mean, like in ways it's very symbolic. If you think about the water, the water is like a baptism, being born anew. Like, and we died in that shit. Like, that is like a death, because when you come up from the surface, you're a new being. That's a new birth. You know, and it's like the same thing with trauma.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of people who get on their path of awakening go through some trauma that causes them to think differently. They have to
Yes.
die to the way that they were thinking and realize, like, this shit isn't working. I have to change.
A soldier dies many deaths.
Yeah. And
That gives a new life to that. Go ahead,
I
Tupac.
had a similar experience. I
and
had a similar experience like that too as well. I drowned in the pool for like a good while, and I was you know, doing some dumb kid stuff like I always do, and just running around the pool, and I fell in there, and it took like 3 or 4 minutes. I took in a lot of water, but I still managed to be alive though after that, because a lot of people tried to get me out, and they couldn't get me out. So my cousin, he was inside. He came out, and it took him. It just seemed like it was long. Like I was down there for a long time, but they came and got me, and I still came out breathing.
I think that's so interesting.
it was funny because I remember when I was drowning, like, it wasn't a bad experience. It wasn't like I was focusing on choking up on water. I was just, and this is around like 4 or 5, I think, and I'm just at peace with it. Where I'm like, I understand that I'm
It
going
was
to
very
die.
peaceful. You're right.
Yeah, and it's like I'm just looking at the light coming in from the surface and how it's like distorted and stuff, and it's just like, all right, and then all of a sudden, like, I'm right back at it. Like nothing ever fucking happened. And it's funny how nobody around you is aware of like the shit you just went through.
Yeah.
It's like everybody's oblivious. Like the whole experience when I was fucking drowning.
Mm-hmm.
It was just like, where's my legal guardian? Where are the rest of the people in the pool? Like nobody's seen this? And it's like, even when I'm at the side of the pool coughing up water and shit, like it seems like nobody sees me. Nobody gives a fuck. Like everything is just
slow motion.
It probably was the reset. That reset is a strange thing. Wow.
It's crazy. Like and I, for a long time, I think I repressed that memory because I do remember going on, and I do remember it being kind of weird, but it was just like, you tell certain people and they'd be like, that shit's crazy. You know what I'm saying? But now I'm like, there's something in me that's like, that shit makes a lot of sense.
Uh-huh.
Or it's like, it's time to speak on that,
Yeah. Gratitude for sharing that. Like, you just blew my mind with that one. Man. So I have people over in my chat that's also saying around those ages that they almost drowned.
Are you fucking kidding me? Like, that's crazy.
It is.
Wow.
Well,
that's how you know you're a spiritual person.
Yes, right.
You drowned or almost drowned, damn, you're gonna be one crazy motherfucker when it comes to magic.
I mean, I show gratitude for real.
I've been through so near a lot of death experience I can't even count. It's like 9 lives like a cat, and I still just come out.
Absolutely, Z. Yeah. Absolutely. Dang, this is dope as fuck. I would like to do this again. Definitely want to pick some minds between you both. This was amazing. I show gratitude for sharing space with me, Mr. Xero and Z.
It's fun talking to you. I always love talking to people who are educated and experienced, especially when it comes to like this subject, and like they're real about like their experiences.
Yeah.
And it's always encouraging and inspiring, and I think it's also good to promote like the connectivity that we have between Black people. You know, like, I'm not saying anything, like, I'm not racist or anything, but, like, a lot of us don't practice unity these days. And a lot of us aren't, you know, big on talking about things that are important, things that matter, and learning about our ancestry, or even giving a shit about that, or trying to dig deep into things and have an understanding of the world around us.
Yeah.
And so I love it when I have the chance to connect in this way with, you know, just you know, people that may have a better understanding of where I come from, because of that aspect, you know. And I love the fact that there are more Black intellectuals that are popping up, you know, when for so long a lot of our culture was seen as ignorant. You know?
Yeah. Too busy programmed.
Too busy being programmed.
Yeah.
Well,
music, you name it.
I've learned a lot this evening. I'm not going to lie to you. And I understand now when Yehuda tells me a lot, you need to get your spirit work done, your soul work, you need to expand. You know, things are going on and you're not practicing your magic and your spirit work, and we need you to do that. And so I've learned a lot this evening, and I show gratitude for again sharing the space. Hopefully we can do it again. I'm so excited. I appreciate you very, very much for being open and candid like you did. And you know, I'm always leery. Let me just be transparent. I'm always leery about coming into certain spaces because people judge the shit out of me for, and I'm like, you know what I mean? Like, I don't know what it is that I'm stepping into. And so it felt, once we got to talking, it felt good, you know. So I'm just appreciative of sharing space.
Well, thank you for the compliment.
Definitely.
You know, like, I don't try to judge people because I understand that, you know, like, we all have our certain experiences that, you know, we make our different choices.
Yeah.
You know, and sometimes we have to get to a place of humility through those choices.
Yeah.
And like you said before, because you've had your life and you've done things that may be seen as negative, that puts you in a place to understand when somebody's coming from a place that where they might be judged, and you're like, nah, like, I got my own shit.
Yeah.
So let's be real, you know.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, my channel, my chat is showing gratitude to you both for the conversation. They feel like they've learned a lot and they were very active. And my slow self, child, I just looked at the top of y'all's live where it says share this to your audience, so I could have just did that instead of having it set up the way it is. But now I know for next time. So gratitude, y'all. I appreciate it. I am going to go ahead and step out because I really have to go tinkle. But I appreciate you both. It was so nice meeting you, Xero.
Thank you for being here, and thank you for the people.
Peace. Thank you, Governess.
Peace.
Yeah,
gratitude. Peace. All right, family. So I'm going to get out of here. We will do my part 2 to the revealing 3 tomorrow. I'm very excited, and now I feel like I understand some things, but I know that the spirit is going to reveal some things and I'm ready for it. So gratitude to everybody that jumped on this evening and rising for your time, attention, and respect. Gratitude for everybody that was sharing knowledge in the chat. Um, please know that I was being funny when I said that shit about the alchemy. So I hope I didn't, sour anyone, but it was so many people putting the alchemy. I'm like, okay, shit, we understand. So I love y'all to life for coming in and sharing your knowledge and listening and being open to Mr. Xero, the demonologist. And so I show gratitude. Solitude de wa. Solitude de wa, y'all. All right. Love y'all to life. Peace.